Why do you think they call it dental practice? Why do they call it practice? Well, this may not be the reason, but the reality is it is practice. We have to practice to get better. Now, some of you, like me, have been practicing a long time, and you have learned so much, and you have changed your abilities and your ways and your techniques many times. And that's why they call it practice, because the reality is you get better and better. Some of you, just having finished school or only been out a few years, are indeed in that process right now. And we all stay in that process. However, it's really important to understand that there are things that can block your learning. Things that can block your learning include fear. And I'm not going to go too much into that right now, but understand we all, every single person, every human, every soul in the universe deals with fear in their humanness. So saying that, I'll leave it at that. Fear can really control us and limit us in our learning. But let's go to something else. Another thing is maybe it's in that fear that we suddenly say things like, I know that. Yes, of course. The minute we say, I know that, we have just stopped learning. We have blocked learning. Because our brain, our subconscious, unconscious brain picks up on the fact we already know it. So as you go through your day and as you go through educational opportunities, whatever they may be, whether they're online, whether they're talking to colleagues, whether they're in your very office and someone mentions something, one of your staff suggests something, that's when you want to be sure that you're not saying or thinking, I know that, because that will block your learning. I had an interesting experience recently when one of my staff members, who is very good about suggesting things in orthodontics, suggested something. And quite frankly, right this minute, I don't remember what specific technique it was, but it was a great idea that she had. And my eyes opened wide and I said, wow. Now, it would have been very easy years ago when I was not feeling quite as secure, maybe, or interested in continuing to grow and learn in my orthodontics, to have thought, yeah, well, maybe, but we'll just do it my way because I'm in charge. In this moment, it dawned on me what an opportunity I had with my staff being able to suggest things to me that maybe in total or maybe in part were going to be very helpful to me and to my patients and to everyone in the situation. So that was a wonderful experience. So number one, be careful of I know that, even in your thoughts. Remember, your thoughts create your beliefs create your thoughts. So look at that in yourself and open those doors, those channels a little bit if you can. Another thing that I learned years ago from Walter Doyle was that it takes 7 to 9 exposures of material, new material, to learn, to truly learn it well. 7 to 9 exposures is quite a few. 7 to 9 times that you do something or study something or hear something or see something. Now, you and I both know that the first, as I used to say from my dental school experience, the first 100 amalgams didn't much count. The first 100 composites didn't much count. So it took a lot more than 7 to 9 to gain a skill that I felt really comfortable about. But the point here is that material, knowledge, thoughts, and awarenesses take at least 7 to 9 exposures. So let's say that you learn something in let's say a CE course. So you hear the lecture, that's one exposure. You are looking at, let's say, the handouts. That could be a second exposure because you're hearing, auditory, seeing down on your paper or on your computer, your iPad, seeing, second exposure, and maybe taking some notes, third exposure. You go home with 3 exposures that way. You get home that night or the next day or a couple days later and you review your notes, you review the handouts, 4th exposure. Do you see what I'm getting at? So 7 to 9 exposures is what you're after minimum to actually be able to pull that information in and make it part of you. When I went to Abu Dhabi about 6 years ago, I had no idea of the number of cases in orthodontics, the number of patients with different needs, different treatments, we shall call a case, I was going to be able to see. Oh my goodness, what I have learned. And I'm so grateful for all of those exposures, all of those opportunities, all of those things that presented to me and gave me an opportunity to figure out how I was going to deal with it. And then going through dealing with it. It's interesting because in orthodontics, there is a constancy of learning that outweighs everything I experienced in pediatric dentistry, meaning that there are more different things, there are more challenges. Now, granted, children's behavior is always a challenge, but the bottom line is that the things to learn about the dental treatment, the orthodontic treatment, seems much greater in its constancy of change, variation, and need for learning. So that's been a wonderful experience, and that's one of the things I love about orthodontics. Well, just some thoughts for you today. Remember, I don't want to say I know that because I want to open up the channels and keep learning. Some thoughts for you, doctor. Have a great day. Signing off.